Please remain seated. Remain seated and you can continue. But at this time, I have a special guest today, and this is former Captain Bruce Arians and his wife, Ravine. Bruce, we're going to hear from him doing some excerpts from Martin Luther King's speech in honor of this being Black History Month. So without further ado, Bruce. And it's Allison presents. You broke it.
I am happy to join with you today. What will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society, finds himself in exile in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize this shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, Black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt, We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We've also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who'd hoped that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But there's something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold that leads into the palace of justice. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. This marvelous new militancy that has engulfed the Negro community should not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied to our destiny. They have come to realize that their freedom is inexplicably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. One day this nation will rise up, live out the true meanings of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners, will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood? I have a dream that even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering in the heat of injustice, sweltering in the heat of oppression, one day be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, right down there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, Let freedom ring. And if America is to become a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghanies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill in Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when we allow this to happen, when we let freedom ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestant and Catholic, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Wow, very powerful. Thank you so much. Welcome. Today is Monday, February 13th, and we will be having a panel discussion of 4 distinguished Hall of Famers from our Ohio High School Baseball Hall of Fame. On behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Board of Directors of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, I hereby call to order, you may stand. I hereby call to order the 22nd meeting of the 60th year of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. Our invocation, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, will be given by Pastor Jeff Franks of North Industry Christian Church. Pastor Jeff.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we do come to you today, thanking you for the honor and privilege it is to be in your presence, to be part of your family. Father, we pray your blessing upon this food and those who are with us. We pray your blessing upon those who prepared it. Thank you for those that are here with us. Thank you for Bruce sharing words that need to be ringing through your ears all the time. And Father, we just thank you for this time and continue to bless it. In your Son's name that I pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a special day already. Wow. To my right, your left. Next to Reverend Jeff is Al Mayfield on our Board of Trustees. He's got a cheering crowd every week. I'm going to let Sam be the introduction of our entire panel and their accomplishments. So we'll hear from everyone up here a little later. And you can see who they are, of course, on the video boards on either side of me. Again, special guest of Bruce, his wife, Raveen. We appreciate her presence here today as well. Downing front here, TJ Downing with Stark Media, as always. And our moderator, who you'll be hearing from, our MC panel moderator, Sam Bourquin. Recognition of our corporate sponsors up on the boards are Aultcare's Primetime Health, Dr. Peter Ferguson, Wilkshire Golf Course, and Liberty Ford. Let's give them a round of applause. Announcements, my daily, weekly, turn these guys off, silence them, step on them, whatever you have to do to be courteous to our speakers. Raffle ticket, get out your 50/50s. There are 2 this week. So the beginning numbers will be either 830 or 830 or 349, followed by the other 3 that will announce the winner. It will be worth $157 today, and Jim Osborne will be looking for your hand to be raised to come and give you that cash. So at this time, let's have Doug Miller of our panel come over and pull a winner.
Everybody's root. Well, that's certainly possible. You can go short, medium,
Everybody's got to take it.
whatever. Give me one.
Get the winner right there.
There we go. That's it. All right.
Nick Asmer.
See how quick you toss it.
Thank you.
Sorry, 349, you're out of it already. 830-017. 017. Who's got it?
Close.
Right here? 017? Right here, okay. Jim, she's right up. Who is it? Who is it? Oh, right here, okay. Raise your hand so he knows where to come to. There we go. All right. Our next week's speaker is head baseball coaches Tim Mead of Walsh University and Tom Crank of Malone University. And they will be introduced by the voice of Stark County Sports, our own Sam Bourquin. At this time, I have no further announcements, and we'll turn it over to Sam.
I got the blue
Good afternoon, welcome. Good to be here today. What a great start to the calendar year we've got here, January, February. I think we're gonna miss out on winter. They were pretty good there. I was just talking to Coach Miller, little baseball theme here today with our Hall of Fame class next week. Tim Mead and Tommy Crank. So, and by the way, pitchers and catchers are going to be reporting here pretty soon. So we're starting to get there and start to turn the corner. Can't wait to introduce these great men up here at the table today. I think you'll find one thing at the end when we're all said and done is the constant of what the game of baseball does, what the sport of baseball does, what it means. I guess I could say that about a lot of sports. Being here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, what have we always said about football? The sport of football teaches you the most about life. And I think as you go through your teenage years, your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, what have you, I think you can kind of link that to every sport, maybe. I think whatever sports you play, I think it teaches you something about life, whether it's football, whether it's lacrosse, whether it's gymnastics, whether it's golf. I think sports themselves teach you, when you get knocked down, how do you get back up? How do you respect authority? Friendships that you make for the rest of your life. The great memories that you have, not necessarily on the court or on the field, but it's on the bus, or it's Maybe it's a feed the team in the cafeteria before a tournament game. There's so many different branches of sports that you could go into. Obviously, we're going to focus on baseball today, but just wanted to I think by the time we all leave today, you're going to say, yep, it all kind of comes full circle. Baseball, people, memories, joy, sorrow, laughter, tears. I think it all kind of comes together. And that's the beautiful thing about sports itself. And I'm sure you might walk out of here today kind of feeling bad. I was lucky enough to MC the Stark County Amateur Baseball Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremonies a couple of weeks ago at Crestwood Country Club. Sold out. There was over 240 people there. They actually had to turn people away that day, that night. And I go back to, again, I was talking to Coach Miller. The class that night was a class of 10 plus the 2013, 2003, 2011 state championship team at Central Catholic. And out of the 10 inductees that night, 8 of them, 8 in the hotbed of football, in a great place that we have basketball and all the great teams and all the great memories, 8 of the 10 signed professional contracts to play baseball in one class. I don't think we'll ever see that again. And I went back and looked at the program this morning, and I thought, because it didn't really hit me that night as you're up there reading off names and going through stats and everything. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, my God, what? I don't think that'll ever happen again. 8 of 10 signed professional contracts. So again, as we live here in the hotbed of football, I think we play some really good baseball here too. The only shame of us is the weather. I can only imagine if we had the weather of Arizona and Florida and Texas and California. I mean, the talent that we have cranked out here over the decades, I think it would be times 10 if we didn't have to play baseball games in 34 degrees and freezing rain and snow and wind. I mean, we've all been there, either as a player, you folks have been out there as moms and dads of the players, maybe the assistant coaches, and you're out there, it's miserable. I mean, we play state championship games now. I think they've been moved back to the middle of June now. But I mean, April and May are it's tough. And we got, Tim Meaton was out with his Cavalier baseball team yesterday outside over at Walsh. I drove by on Market Avenue. It was about 1:30, and they were out there with the stocking caps on, the gloves, and it's cold. But you know what? We love to play. We love the baseball. We love the coaching. We love everything about it. And if it's a little chilly, so what? We'll certainly overcome that. Before I get to the class up here, we had a total class of 8. The other 4 were not able to make it today. Of course, Fred Brywees and Hank Miller are not with us any longer. And Luke Iser, great umpire, is going through some health issues now. I still have a photo of myself. Luke was one of my all-time favorite umpires, especially behind the plate. I'm not saying he gave me a call here and there. He may have. He did. I needed all the help I could get. Let's be honest. As a young scrawny freshman at Central Catholic, I needed some help behind the plate. Luke gave me a couple corners, maybe when he shouldn't have. But he was one of my all-time favorites. He was such a great personality, and I still have a photo, and I don't know who took it. May have been one of our ball girls or stats. We were over at Northwest, and this was probably within the first 2 weeks of the season, and it was cold. We both had like football stocking caps on, and I was in a picture with Luke, just he and I standing around in the first base coaching box. We were trying to smile through the bitter cold, and I thought that was just a cool moment. I was just a freshman or sophomore, and I may have been even coaching first base that day. I don't know, but I said, "Come on over, man. High school player, you're supposed to, umpires. Yes, sir. No, sir." I said, "Can I get a photo with you real quick?" And somebody took a picture of us, and I still have that to this day. That was a cool moment. Another cool moment for Joe Gilhausen, who is down in Florida right now, the great Hall of Fame baseball coach here in the state of Ohio. A great moment for Coach, but not so much for myself. I'm going to go back to the Canton Class A League. I'm not sure how old I was, probably 21, 22 years old. And I think it was my either my American Legion team or another A-ball team I was playing on. I think it was American Legion. We were playing down at Cook Park, and it was in the heat of the summer, just a nice hot night. A lot of people there. I think it was a doubleheader. And Joe strolls into the batter's box. And I'm out there. I mean, these teams, some of the great Canton Class A teams of the names going by, they were all-star teams. And as soon as if you're able to get Jeff Height out, here came Chris Wilson, or here came somebody else. Well, here comes Smiling Joe. Steps into the left-handed batter's box. And I'll be honest, I couldn't throw the ball very fast. I couldn't. I threw a lot of junk up there and got people to miss it. And I always had a great defensive squad behind me no matter where I went. So I got a couple of junkers. He went waving at him. I had a moment too. And my late father, who was right behind the backstop, give him the heater and get him out of there. Okay. So my catcher puts down the 2, which is the curve. He puts down the 3. He puts down the split for the forkball. I said, and I saw my catcher's eyes get as he said, "Oh my God, you're not going to throw a fastball here, are you?" I looked in, gave him the nod. I kid you not. You know how Cook Park was a big old park back then. Fences were way back by the creek. 543 feet later, Smiling Joe was circling the bases coming around the home plate. I have never seen a ball hit that far in my life. I practically broke my neck snapping it back to watch that thing go over the fence. We went on to get drilled that night, and he never let me forget about that. So congratulations, Coach. I'm glad I could be a part of one of your great memories down at Cook Park. I think I got that in when they were about 72, 73 miles an hour, is about right here. He gave it a ride. It was long gone. Long gone. So what we're going to do today, maybe a little different. We've got our 2 of our Hall of Famers here. We've got 2 here. Each have a wireless microphone. And we're just going to kind of have a fun conversation. I'll shoot some questions to them. We'll get some answers. And I think we'll have a little bit of time at the end. We will have some questions from you all out in the audience today. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So I mentioned Joe Gielhausen, Fred Breidwieser, Hank Miller, and Lou Geiser as part of our outstanding class. Oh, by the way, I forgot I wanted to get to this one. When I drove in today, I noticed some of the most imaginative ways to park cars in a parking lot in the history of civilization. How do you come up with these ways to park your vehicles in this parking lot? Diagonally, horizontally, vertically, crooked, over 4 or 5 lines, backed into tree stumps, over piles of snow. And people just get out of their car. Hey, how you doing? How are you doing? I'm going inside. Have a great day. All right. So be nice and kind to me today, because I will tell you what, I will have 20 tow trucks out here in 5 minutes to get your cars out of here. Unbelievable. But the imagination, I applaud the effort. That's really good. Really impressive. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go. I'm going to introduce each of our guests here, our Hall of Famers, give you a couple bullet points about what they did, what they have done, and we'll share some stories, we'll have some laughs, and we'll have some fun. I want to start off with Dave Burkett down here to my right, to the right of Coach Campbell. Hall of Fame class 2023, OHS BCA Hall of Fame, hit a 25-win season. Tuslaw, Sandy Valley, and I didn't know Coach Colonel Crawford. Now, I spent some time at the old Bratwurst Festival back in the heyday out there in Bucyrus, and I got to learn about the Colonel Crawford and Bucyrus and the different things going on there. So I thought that was pretty cool. He coached 13 All-Ohio players. Pac-7 champion in 2009. He's been on the OHBCA board for 24 years. He was the president in 2005. But the funny story about Coach Dave, and this was before I think I even met him, because I had started at HBC in '93. I'm not sure what year this was, But we had a Super Bowl promotion at the radio station that year. And you could, I don't think we were emailing then. People were writing in, calling in. We would take contest winners. We would get them signed up over the air during my show in the afternoon. And we would put them all in like a big barrel like this. And we would pull one winner at random. And the sports staff at HBC, we would all come together and we would take food to the winner's house. We would, I think there was a TV that was given away and some other cool stuff. Now, I think we're past the statute of limitations here. I'm pretty sure that contest was rigged that year. Because Coach Dave, we came to his house and it was super fun. We had 3 or 4 or 5 of us. We grabbed food off. We watched a little bit of the Super Bowl there. It was pretty cool. I remember, I think it was 6 of us went out. We each drove 2 to a car, which was bizarre. And I'm thinking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Long drive. And oh, by the way, I had just gotten a car. And I happened to look down. 4 miles left in the gas tank. 4. I don't even know how we made it to the gas station after these Super Bowl festivities, but we got a couple bucks in the gas tank and we went our way. But that was a pretty cool thing. But first of all, big round of applause. Dave Burkett. To my immediate right, Frank Gamble. Wow. I think I have these numbers correct, Coach. Please let me know if I'm not there. 611 career wins. You're pretty close there. Top 15 in Ohio history. 15 years in Tuslaw. We had some great battles. Tuslaw, Central Catholic, Coach Miller, Coach Gamble. 22 years at Perry, also the athletic director. And I got to work with Coach I never got to play for Coach, but I got to work with him when I was in radio as he was the athletic director, lining up interviews and securing space at the gym or the football stadium. I always had a great appreciation for what Frank did. Baseball, being the AD, obviously the countless hours that you put in. Assistant coach at the College of Worcester. Pretty cool stuff there as well. I love the photo. One of the latest photos, he's got the black Worcester hat on with the W on there. Looks really good. Again, we had some great battles over the years, and of course, the Gamble name. You think about Perry, you think about Tuslaw, Worcester. You also think about Jackson and Sandy Valley with the Suns coaching at the high school baseball level. What a great career! What a great man, a great gentleman. Hall of Famer, Frank Gamble. All right, to my immediate left, Coach Tim Miller, Canton South, 404 career wins. 1987, Stark County Baseball Hall of Fame inductee. 1991, OHSBC Hall of Fame. 8 Federal League championships with the Cats. Also, if you go to a Canton South baseball game, you now know it's Tim Miller Field down there for the Wildcats. He coached 29 seasons. Has been very active in the OHSBCA. And again, just a great man, a great mentor, a great coach, very humble. And it's always cool to run into Coach wherever. It could be the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it could be anywhere. Always very, very cordial. Please welcome another Hall of Famer, Tim Miller. Right here. Finally, a gentleman that had to put up with my nonsense for 4 years at Canton Central Catholic High School. I was lucky enough and honored to be brought myself up, and I think 7 other guys up as freshmen to play at Central Catholic. Kind of threw us in there to the Wolves, and we found our way through. And we had some pretty good success, so we sure had a lot of fun as well. 85 to 88 with the Crusaders, 768 wins. Over 40 years, 3 state titles with Central, 8, 11, and 15. Runner-up in 97 and 03. Now with East Canton. And doing great things here. Was second year, third year, won the league. Third year, won the league with East Canton. And they're doing great things over there too. They're getting some great facilities. Football, basketball, baseball. And it's so
I turned it off.
He said, I turned that thing off. But I can't tell you what a joy it was to play for Coach. Again, admittedly, I was not the most coachable kid at 15 years old. I wasn't. He got me straightened around a little bit and learned a lot. Learned how to pitch. Learned how to, not be a thrower, be a pitcher. And I had such great teammates. We did some very special things at Central. We almost got there. We didn't quite get there. So we had some, we shed a few tears along the way. We had a lot of fun too. Most, if not all, the guys that I played with, I'm still, thick as thieves with today, tight best friends. We'll never ever forget those guys. 40 plus years. You knew when Coach was coming out of the dressing room at school, and he had that uniform on, and he had the throwback spot built baseball shoes on, and he had the little clipboard, put the hat on. He was ready to go. And we knew we were gonna learn something that day if we were practicing, and we were sure as heck gonna go out and fight our butts off and go try to win a baseball game. One of the greats of all time, and the man of the pleasure, it was all mine. Coach Miller, Doug Miller, here for just a phenomenal group up here. So while we're going on here today, maybe think some questions you want to throw up here to the guys. We'll see if they can answer them. We'll keep it light, we'll keep it fun, and maybe you'll learn a little something maybe that you didn't know about these gentlemen up here before we walk away today. All right, first of all, I want to start with Coach Burkett down here to the right. I know it's hard, but if you could maybe squeeze one or two of your best memories, just with the sport of baseball, no matter what level it was, growing up, playing, coaching, and what were those?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, so thank you very much. And to be on this panel, I'm truly blessed, because as Sam said, I was just inducted here less than a month ago. So again, very honored to be here. I'm going to say my number one memory is playing for Frank Gamble at Tuslaw. 40 years ago today, or 40 years ago now, we would be getting ready for my senior year at Tuslaw. And so to be able to play for Frank and to have him by my side still now. But no, we've been on the board together for the State Baseball Coaches Board Association. I've wanted to be him. I wanted to follow in his footsteps, and I kind of have done that. And all good. Probably my other great memory is to come back to Stark County. My first job was in Bucyrus, Ohio, as Sam mentioned. I taught at Crawford. I signed a contract to teach and coach a week before my wedding. Got married to my lovely wife, Amy, in 1989, and spent 14 years in Bucyrus. And always wanted to get back to Stark County because my parents were here. My wife's parents grew up here. We graduated from Tuslaw together, and just kind of wanted to get back. And the great opportunity I got to coach in Sandy Valley. And Sandy Valley baseball is Lou Geiser, without a doubt. For those of you that know anything about Sandy Valley baseball, it's Lou Geiser. And again, to go there, get back closer to home, and then with the opportunity to get the Tuslaw position as the athletic director and baseball coach at Tuslaw. Again, they got to coach my son and stuff like that. So there are so many players, great players, and I think I would probably take a little bit of these guys' thunder, but we're not up here because of how much we know. We've had great players, we've had great assistant coaches, we've had great parents. I call them agents. So far, we've had great agents, and it was awesome today walking in because both Tozzis boys played for me at Sandy Valley, and so to see Chris and Mike here, that's a great memory to see two of my former players up on the wall of this great establishment. So again, thank you.
Very good. All right, Coach Canton.
And I will say, you just went over near Tuslaw. That's where the party was, and my wife won the ticket. I did not win that.
Well, I didn't say who. I just thought there may have been. But it was a good time. All right, Coach. I know you got a lot of memories. So just asking for a few might be a little bit difficult, but maybe a couple that really jump up to you as far as what you've done and where you've been.
I'll tell you what, first of all, this guy right here, Sam, a lot of good memories with him, WHBC, and a lot of, he's not only the baseball coach, the athletic director of Perry, and we had some great conversations. He did a phenomenal job. And it's just a great gift to speak. He speaks at a lot of banquets. I drive across the country just to listen to him speak, so I just want you to know that. I haven't been drinking yet, it was all.
Sure about that?
I'm sure about it. It's just new. But memories are so much. I was blessed to start off at Tuslaw High School, and I had 17 years over there, and then 22 years at Perry High School as baseball coach. And I have memories of Jackson, however. I still remain the baseball coach at Tuslaw. I taught football 3 years at Jackson, and that was a great adventure over there. And then to get the Perry baseball job, and coached 4 years of football there, and then was the baseball coach for 22 years and athletic director for 17. And to say, as Sam said, can you name a few great memories? My memories, so first of all, this guy right next to me, David, hey, I feel very, very proud to have one of my guys in this chair right here. He can, he always got upset with me because he was a pitcher and he went to Ashland University, was out of Ohio. And he always gets upset with me. I said, you couldn't break up in a class. I always told him, I said, his fastball, I don't know what yours was, Sam, but his fastball.
Don't look at me, I couldn't break a man.
45 miles an hour. He had a lot of junk on him. He threw out everything you can imagine as a baseball coach or player, as a pitcher. And he went on and had a great career at Ashland University. So I couldn't be any more proud to be able to sit up here with one of my ex-students in a Hall of Famer. And that's a big thrill for me right here. Another big thrill for me is looking over here at Tim Miller and Doug Miller, the Miller boys. We at Perry and at Tuslaw, we played both Canton South and Central Catholic. And Tim was an eccentric when it came to rules interpretation. He had that rule book in his pocket, and if you did one thing wrong, he'd let you know. And unfortunately, we're always correct, Coach. It's fun. Except for one time in Canton South, we're going to do that, but that's okay. And Doug, I don't know how many games that I was fortunate enough to coach at Tuslaw and Perry against Central Catholic. And we were figuring out there, it had to be 40-some games at least, Doug, through the years, always close games. When I got to Perry, it was one of the first things I wanted to do was get Central Catholic on our schedule. And we played night games under the lights. We always played on Friday nights, generally. And I'll tell you what, it was always a thrill, and he was always a class guy. So I can honestly say the three guys that are up there with me, along with all the coaches that Sam mentioned, are all tremendous people. And of course, two are not with us anymore. Joe Gill hasn't done it, my goodness sakes. And him at Glen Oak and Perry, it was like World War III when we went to get it. And if you were winning in Perry, Glen Oak games back in the day when we played, I had two of my best teams at Perry with the 2 years that Joe won the state championship. And he told me that was no pat on the back. He said, well, your team is as good as anybody played. It made me feel very good. We knocked us out of the districts 2 years in a row. But just to answer your question real quick, it's just being around all the kids and the coaches, the great coaches that I've had through the years, or I wouldn't be sitting up here. It's just great to be around young people, and they keep you young. That's a little secret right there.
Coach, thank you. You've been on that. We're going to go to the Miller crew down here to the left, Coach Tim. Anything that stands out to you as you're like just a wow moment as far as what baseball has brought you or what you gave to baseball?
I'd like to talk a little bit about one of my players.
Come over here, Coach.
Here you go, Coach.
There we got it rolling.
Double check. My first year, I coached, and I'm sorry, my health is bad, and I'm going to have to stop once in a while. It was Ronnie Young, Ronnie Young was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, 6'7", left-handed pitcher, and that's a heck of a combination if you're gonna go professional. Everybody wants a left-handed guy who's going to throw 100 miles an hour. And he was good. A little bit of a problem at times, but, and he's passed away, and I'll miss that. And then Kenny Groves was a left-handed pitcher, and Kenny Groves opened with Perry, and Bobby Delap was my assistant coach, and Bobby Delap played for who's Ohio State's. Well, no, not Woody Hayes.
Bob Wren.
Bob Wren. He knew more about baseball. He had better players than most coaches have. But here's Bobby Delap. He's my assistant, and he played for Bob Wren. I played for Ohio Northern University, and there's probably no comparison between the two. And Bobby taught me catching and pitching, and it was an amazing thing for me. And so this was the first game that we'd coached together. It was in an elementary school, and where are you at, Bob?
Danny Brooks.
Danny Brooks, where are you at? Danny Brooks and
Ronnie Blackledge.
Ron Blackledge. They coached they didn't coach at Canton South. Bobby Delap and myself coached that way. And it was a pressure. He made 10 years of coaching very good for me. And I would not have been as good as the players are, obviously. And Ronnie Young, 6'7", throwing strikes, hard curveballs. He was amazing. We won the Federal League that year, and it was kind of unusual. Bobby Delap says to me, we're in the dugout. He says, Coach, we got to take Kenny Groves out of the picture. I said, he's throwing a no-hitter, and he's throwing strikes, Coach. He says, well, I says, look, you know more than I do. And so I put Ronnie Young in to pitch. And all I remember was the Perry kids. It was kind of cold one of those days, and you'd see the batter number. I could get every Perry kid's numbers because he was going to the dugout. And Ronnie Young, they were so afraid they would almost sprint to the dugout. So we would do that twice a week. We would win twice a week, and we won the Federal League. I would like to say to the group of people here, I'm very pleased to see this many people. I think Canton South baseball and baseball in turn has a great reputation. If you see Canton South baseball, you're seeing the best in the state of Ohio. And I really mean that. Thank you very much. One of my players is sitting right there. He played first base when Ronnie Young would pitch. And that had to be a tough deal for you, right?
All right, the second half of our Miller duo up here, Coach Doug Miller. I know 40 plus years, you've had a lot of memories as well, from getting started, to learning the game of baseball at home, playing, the familiar 15 on the back of your jerseys for so many years. I know there's a lot of memories here, so I'll let you kind of expound on that and take us through it.
Thank you, Sam. As far as memories are concerned,
baseball. I was very fortunate when I was a little boy. My father was a longtime player and manager in the Canton Class A League. And I spent my childhood down at Cook Park. And there was great players in that league back in those days. So I didn't know it at the time, but I think I was being groomed as a baseball coach. So that's a memory. As far as other memories, games and championships are good, but it's the relationships, like with these great coaches that are up here. I have two of my, at least that I know of that are in here, two of my former players. This guy right here, he was a great pitcher. Don't let him kid you. In 3-year period, he won 16 straight games without losing a game. He was an outstanding pitcher. And I see John Mazzarelli back there. He was on my first team. He was my first All-Ohioan, and he was my first player that got drafted. He got drafted by the Astros. So those are great memories. And I will say, as Dave said, we're up here because we had great players and great assistant coaches, had a little bit of success. But I will tell you, this room is filled with great high school baseball coaches. I see one right here with Gordy Nisley. I see Carl Michael and Bob Galena from Minerva. I see Danny Brooks, and I see Frank Salona. And if I forgot somebody, I'm sorry, but this room is filled with great high school baseball coaches. And it's just the memories. It's the memories that we've had. And when a little bit earlier you said, what was the temperature when we went outside when you guys were playing for me?
18.
Okay. He said something about 40 or 45 degrees to go outside.
But the
No,
wind chill was like 5.
we always went outside to practice. How many games did we ever have canceled?
Well, not many. I recall our senior year. Imagine in this weather in Northeast, this was back in the late 80s. We got 33 games in. We finished 28-5. We played 33, and I think we only missed maybe 1 or 2. It was, there had been wild rumors out there over the years that, if it rained during the afternoon or we had some snow, there was maybe some puddles out on certain fields that certain coach maybe up here at the podium would gather up 3 or 4 empty tanks of gasoline and put some gas in there and dribble it on the infield and light it on fire so we could play baseball with it. I mean, again, wild rumors, I don't know if it ever happened or not.
Statutes of limitations over. That was before the environmentalists took over.
Yes. He escaped himself up.
He would pour gas on there and burn it, and it did the job.
There you go. I wasn't making that up. Literally, we put fields on fire so we could play. And we got him in. My God, we got him in. All right. I'm going to switch down here to the right. My next question was, how did you get started? We may save that one for last because I, as a player, never really had any superstitions. I really didn't. I just didn't have any. I don't know about the coaching world, if they had superstitions or not. Coach B, we'll start with you. I got a feeling there might be one.
I'm not really old school compared to these guys up here with me, but, I still do the paper and pencil, keeping the book. I finally have gone technology-wise to put them in to accumulate the stats, but I even had a hard time going that route. I would go home and sit there and get the eraser out and erase it. Okay, Johnny had 4 RBIs, and now he has 8, and so on like that. But weird part when I came back home, so to speak, to Sandy Valley, I used to wear Colonel Crawford shorts underneath my uniform, just kind of remembering where I came from, and the memories that I had got to share with Colonel Crawford for 14 years. So other than that, I don't walk over the line going out to make a pitching change, or I try to stay off the line. Even when I'm talking to the officials at pregame, I try to stay off the line because I know I put them on there. So I don't want anything to happen to them. So, other than that, can't really think of any.
Coach Frank, any wild things you can tell us about?
Nothing, nothing at all, really, it's, I'm just kidding, I'm a superstitious person, you know. Never step on a line going in or out to the pitcher. I can show you experience, my first year at Tuslaw, I was 22 years old, head coach, and I thought I knew a whole lot, and you'll find out, when you're a young coach, you think you know a lot, the older you get, the least you know. And my first 16 games in Tuslaw, we were undefeated. We were 16-0. And unfortunately, we were at Central Catholic High School. And over there, we lost a 3-2 game, and it was tight. I got my first experience in the parents, something how bad a coach I was. During those 16 wins, and I hate to say this, because I was 22 years old and so it didn't matter. I almost didn't want to ever change t-shirts, underwear. And I got bad about the 9th game, I think, so I had to get it. But I'm a very superstitious person. If things are going well, I keep it that way. And if things aren't going well, we change in a hurry. So yes, baseball coaches are about as superstitious people as you're gonna find.
Yeah, you learn something new every day. I had no idea about that.
You didn't get that smell out there.
Coach Tim, did you have any superstitions before games? Maybe not the walk over the white line, or did you try to manicure the field a certain way, have a certain pregame type of, I don't know, anything?
I didn't give anybody a chance to have superstitions.
Just talk right into the front there. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, our players better, everyone look alike, wear your socks alike, or you're not playing. You're on somebody else's team. And I would look at the umpire's eyes as they're coming out to the locker room, and I would say they took that to heart. They thought we looked alike, we play alike, and we're gonna beat you, but that's just the way I think. Which way?
That'll work. Give it to Coach Doug over there. All right, I should probably know, maybe if there was a superstition or two. I already let the cat out of the bag about lighting fields on fire to play here and started 9 years ago. Was there a certain kind of gum? Was there Big League Chew? Was it
Double bubble.
Double bubble? See, I knew there was something. Maybe something I didn't even know, Coach. Maybe any other superstitions you had along the way?
No, I just double bubble to get the big tubes of it. And other than that, I wouldn't step on a line when I'd go out and talk to a pitcher. But other than that, the better teams I had, the less superstitious I had. Not a whole lot of superstition.
All right, good enough there. All right, let's go back down to Coach Burkett here. Changes in the game of baseball over the decades, whether it's been high school, college, or Major League Baseball. We're going into some crazy rule changes this year. Probably some for the better, maybe. If you're a purist, maybe you're not real happy with a pitch clock, or there's no more shift now in the infield and outfield. You got to pretty much play your position where you're at. A lot of things have been going on. For you, how's the game of baseball changed? And has it changed for the better, for the worse? And maybe if I made you commissioner for the day, what's the change you make?
The old days of sanitaries, I see a couple of heads shaking up and down. The thin white socks you put on before your stirrups, those are gone. Now you just have the color socks that just wear. Some teams, like I think Central Catholic used to wear the old time stirrups, so that was good. The bats, of course, have changed dramatically. Back in your day, you probably had 10 to 15 home runs in a season for a team. Now you don't have that at all with the BERS and the difference of the length and the weight of the bat. So that's definitely changed. I know at least really a lot in the last 15 years. We used to have the Green Easton back in that day, and now there are bats out there that probably cost more than the lunch did today. But it's crazy how the bats have changed. I don't think kids have changed. I think they have a little bit. I think the expectations on that the parents have put on kids, because the agents have their classes on and they think their son's gonna get a scholarship, and that's tough. That's not easy to go on to the next level, because the odds are against you, unfortunately, to continue on. If I had that magic wand, I was asked this question a couple weeks ago, I would make baseball a little bit simpler for a substitution to happen. Almost in every other sport, you watched last night's game, you saw guys going on off the field, there's a free substitution. In high school baseball, you don't have that. Once I would come in for Coach Gamble, he's a starter, he can come in one time, and then I'm done as a sub. I can only come in as a sub one time. So in every other sport, you have the freedom of substituting. And again, we're in it for kids, like Coach Miller said, Coach Doug, we want kids to play. And there's always chances to get a kid in the game, whether it be a pinch hit or a courtesy runner or whatever, a runner of some kind. So if we could open that can up a little bit to get more kids involved and give us as coaches the opportunity to get more kids involved.
I like that idea. Coach Gamble, Coach Commissioner Gamble for the day, what would you change?
First of all, Doug, I want to go back and say, I knew you would never put the courtesy out there on the field. I did that my first year. My catcher passed out in the third inning. I'm sitting up as a Hall of Fame coach, I think I'm a hero. That Tuslaw was a warm. It was early in the season, but it was warm. We used to dig holes and dip cans and stuff, get water off the field because we wouldn't have the stuff we have today. And so I had the bright idea that we were going to put this kerosene and light it. And it was dry. The sun came out and the fumes came up, and the third inning, my catcher passed straight out. and I knew what happened. His mom on tape in the hospital said, "He'll be all right." I just took him out of the game. I found out from Coach Miller, that's why I did that. But real quick, as far as changes in the game, coaching today has really gotten a lot better. The coaches, when we first started, these guys right here, trust me, two Coach Millers right here, Coach Gillhouse and all the guys that we're talking about, and Coach Burkett here, excellent coaches. But there's some places you can out-coach people. Today, you got to do your homework. And one of the biggest things that changed, and David just mentioned this about defensive replacements. On our board, we're going to try to do something about that. There's no place in the United States that has defensive replacements. Baseball is one of the few sports, it's the only sport I know you can't replace just defensive people, not offense, but defense. So we'll see what happens on that. But the biggest change I've seen through the years is travel ball. And I say that back when we first started, we did all the coaching, the high school coaches, and then you coach in summertime. Now the kids go to this teams, they have pitching coaches, they have hitting coaches, they have defensive coaches, they got every kind of coach in America. And I know right now I'm blessed to be coaching with my son over at Jackson. And we've had 2 or 3 arm problems from coaches overthrowing kids in the summertime. Or they go to these specialty schools, and a lot of coaches are real good, the ones that are specialists, hitting, pitching, whatever. But sometimes it doesn't work out with them. So that's the biggest thing. I know in some schools, I can say it's a Jackson, about every kid has a specialty coach. So when they come to us, we have to, work along with that. That's probably the biggest thing I've seen through the years. When I first started, there was no such thing. Now, travel ball is really, really big.
Coach Tim, how has things changed for you over the years as far as the sport of baseball? With changes that you thought were pretty good, or maybe that are a little different than what you're used to?
Aluminum bats make a big difference. You're good. You're back into there. You're good. There you go. And there's more home runs with aluminum bats than with wood bats. And that's probably the worst or the best with the equipment. The fields, I'll tell you what I did, and good thing Blackledge isn't here. His son was 6'5", left-handed batter, and we're playing a game at Canton South. And Todd was at bat, And I stopped, I walked him. I didn't give him a chance to even see the ball. 4 times he walked, we won. I think as a coach, your responsibility number 1 is to try to do the best to beat the other team. Todd didn't like it, and Ron didn't like it, but we won the game. And that were different rules that way. All the coach has to do is say, put him on first, and he's on first. So that's one thing. I think umpires that stop. I'm gonna quit my brains. I'm sorry, guys.
That was amazing. We played a lot of games against each other over the years, and one thing, we'd really get after it during the game, but when the game was over, we'd both go up and have a smile on our face and shake hands, and that's what it's all about. As far as changes, when I first started coaching, the fields were mostly all dirt infields, no dugouts, just benches, no home run fences. If you hit a home run, you had to hit it in the gap and just run it out for a home run. Then as time went on, the fields got better, and of course, Gordy's place up there in North Canton was a palace. But the fields got better. When I first started, guys didn't throw 85 to 90, not in high school back then like they do now. Kids, even in our league, small schools we are, you'll face guys that'll get it up there 85 and even 90. So that's a big difference, and I think it's because of throwing programs all year round. Aluminum bats make a difference. Now, they changed them in 2012. They took a lot of the ping, they took a lot of the spring out of it, and it's closer to wooden bats than what it used to be. But regardless of the changes, you still, pitchers have to throw strikes. You got to limit teams to 3 outs. You got to try to figure out a way to score a couple runs. But as far as the uniforms are concerned, to this day, when I first got to East Canton, they had open bottoms all the way down. And I said, no. So when I bought knickers. That way they don't have any choice but to wear their pants up high so you can see the socks.
There you go. Thank you, Coach. How many minutes?
You got 12 minutes.
12 minutes, okay. I'm gonna go real quick here, one more, and we'll get a couple questions from out there in the audience. And my final one will be this. If baseball didn't happen, what would you have gotten into? Did you have a backup plan? What would you have been if you didn't get into baseball? Coach B?
You should have went, did the snake speaking back and forth. Any Seinfeld fans out there? Okay, I'm George Costanza. I wanted to be a marine biologist. I remember my senior year, I thought, it'd be so cool to do some scuba diving and learn a little bit about it. I was an average student, so I sent an application to Flagler College in Jacksonville, Florida, and didn't get accepted. So the marine biology piece was out the door. But both my parents were teachers, grew up with education in the family, so and I had a pretty nice life with both my parents being teachers. So I thought, I'm just going to go that way. So far, it's worked out great.
Coach Gamble, would you have been astronaut? Would you have been a 9-to-5 behind the desk? Would you have been in the corporate world? What would you have been doing?
I would not be an astronaut because I don't like heights. I know that. I want to be a doctor. And thank God I didn't, because I would probably kill somebody. I want Exactly. But if it wasn't baseball, I probably would coach. I love coaching. There was My high school coach was Scotty Morrison. I know some of you guys have been around for a while. Scotty Morrison was my high school coach, and he meant as much to me as my father. And he got me to start in coaching. So I've been coaching football for a lot of years too, so I probably would just stay with football, but I love coaching both. And but that's what I'm doing, man.
Dr. Gamble, aging Dr. Gamble.
Don't come to me, folks.
Snap. Get her quick.
Yes.
I'll tell you what happened to me. And my father, we had a farm, or a way to starve to death. My dad worked at a factory, and I saw what happens to a body badly. My dad would come home dirty, and a piecework must have killed my dad, because piecework is you work and what you produce, that's how you get paid. And so I said to myself, if I have to quit the job 20, 30, 40 times, I'm going to get a job I like. And I'll be honest with you, it was my very first job. And I taught math and science, and I coached 3 sports, and I loved it. Had I hated it, I may have been someplace else. But coaching is a real fun game. You see people coaching that don't even get paid, but they love it. And this is you want this?
No, give it to Coach Doug over there. I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyway. If you didn't have baseball, Coach Miller, what direction would you go?
Well, I was a boys basketball coach, I was a girls basketball coach, and I was a football coach. So, but if I could segue into that, baseball's the best of all of them. I'm sorry, you guys will love football and basketball. I've coached them all, swimming or volleyball. I've coached them all.
I want to.
Baseball's the best game.
I want to say one thing, and I have never had an opportunity to say this, and I apologize. Central Catholic got a new principal. He just won 800 baseball games. He just won a state championship that day. And what was the third thing you did? This guy, to me, was one of the best high school baseball coaches in the state of Ohio.
My response to that is, I have faith in God, in good Lord. And you know, when a door closes, if you're a good person, the good Lord will open another door. And another door was open for me at East Canton, and it's a great place. And I went over to East Canton. The superintendent just happens to be one of the greatest basketball players that ever came out of the county, and somebody I coached for 4 years, and Kevin Bennett. So the good Lord is good.
Absolutely. Coach, thank you. We got a couple of minutes before we head on out the door this beautiful day.
We got 6 minutes.
We got 6 minutes. Let's get a goal. I've got hands up. Okay, let's go right here in a minute.
Frank Gamble, do you have any Jim Tripp stories? Coach Northwest, you two so always get into it.
Well, you're right. I can't repeat those. Triff and I had some great ball games. And one game we had, it was local cable TV. And we got into it. Don't ask me, I'm not like that anymore. I was young, and we got, right now, we go to the same church, just great friends. But between the lines, it was quite, it was quite exciting, let's put it that way.
I saw that video.
Right there in the middle, this way. Yep.
Of our
Or the red square. Go ahead.
of our high school coaches, how many are still coaching to add to the wins that they already have?
I'll be entering my 29th year as a head coach, and we start Monday officially.
I'm not adding it to my wins. I'm fortunate to coach for both my boys now. They both play for me. I'm coaching for my son, Bill Jackson, and I coach football for my son, Brian in Sandy Valley, coach quarterbacks for him. And by the way, I have the most secure job in America, because if they fire me, my grandkids get nothing for Christmas.
Coach Miller, I know you're still working on the win total, right?
I'm still coaching.
Still going? I have you at 768, is that?
That's correct.
That's correct, okay. Wow. Oh, by the way, one win behind the third all-time winningest coach in Ohio. 11 wins behind the second winningest coach in Ohio. So we're getting into some territory right there. Okay, that's just.
Cadillac in the back.
That's the oh boy, way in the back. My man, ready to fire away back there. Cadillac, what do you got?
What was the longest game you ever coached in terms of the innings played, and did you win?
Longest game played as far as innings, and did you win?
12 innings, and yes, we won. I had nothing to do with it.
13 innings and nobody lost. It had nothing to do with it.
Longest game that you ever coached, how many innings did you win?
I probably shouldn't answer that question, because Canton South did a lot of bunting, squeezing, and we didn't get close games. We won those games. The kids knew how to bunt. The kids knew how to, for example, a squeeze. You take the bat, hands up, elbow down. You don't punch the ball. You finesse it, and you don't pull back. They learned how to do a bunt. And if you don't take a look at the Cleveland Indians, and I'm gonna call them the Indians because I think the Indians is the right word for them, because they're not on a wall someplace, and they all knew how to bunt, right? Everybody. We would stay in the gym and bunt until these guys knew how to bunt. And so they're either going to bunt it and it's going to go up in the air and it's no good. But I don't think it's going to happen. I honestly don't.
Coach Miller, longest game as far as innings goes, and what was the outcome?
Cadillac, I'm sorry, but I've coached so many games, I can't remember. I can't remember what the longest game was, how many innings, whether we won or lost. It's just, I've just coached too long. In fact, when I go to a game now, when I get there, the first thing I look is there a porta john behind the dugout. That's how long I've coached. So I honestly can't remember.
One of the superstitions, you gotta have a porta john, right? All right, we got time for two more. Let's go. Where are we going here?
The man standing in the doorway back there played for Jackson.
Robbie DeWolf.
Oh, there's Robbie. Hi, Robbie.
Robbie DeWolf. And opposing players, he's my favorite.
All right, this gentleman in the Navy right there.
Yes, they all had players that had natural ability from the get-go. But I want you to name the one player you saw progress through his freshman to his senior year to be an outstanding player.
Coach Burkett. Coach
I'd have to name, when I was at Tuslaw, Mark Kelly. He was a left-handed pitcher, and Doug, you remember he pitched against you at Central County. And he, you're a left-hander. I'm not saying it's left-handers. But sometimes left-handed pitchers are a little bit loose screws up there sometimes. And we had the head coach at Kent State was there watching pitch, and he blew up on the mound. I had to go out and take him out, and I thought it was the end of his career. But he settled down after that, and that was the one. Then he went on, pitched for Kent State, pitched in the regionals, got drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So he's one that sticks out in my mind.
Just thought of one, thanks for the, I had a player named Ben Wake, he graduated, I wanna say 2014. Had some issues, just behaving himself and wasn't sure, he was very talented, but upstairs wasn't all there. And I think we as coaches and we even as people, sometimes we get to a point where we're just not gonna worry about it. Well, I thought, you know what, I'm bringing his parents in, we're gonna have a sit down and talk about this. So we ended up talking about it, and reality, I think, set in, the light bulb went off. And he went on to have a great season and a great career, just in the 2 years that he played at Tuslaw. So, and the mental part, I mean, I know Doug and Frank and I, 2020 season, that we didn't have a season, that was terrible. That was really, and I hate to be the downer here, but to deal with that, can you guys think, go back to your senior year, or even your junior or sophomore freshman year, and not have a season? It was tough. And we had no control over it. But, I felt bad for those kids and parents, but, Ben Wade would be one that I would, he just, something clicked upstairs and he got it done pretty well.
Great story.
Played, started as a freshman and probably made the most progress by the time they were a senior. Is there one player that stands out?
My player.
Yeah, player that played for you.
Well, you gotta remember, that team was with Danny and Ron, we inherited it. I don't know what I would have. I love to practice inside the gymnasium, and Britt Ace surprised me. He allowed me to do that.
And I gave you the gym?
Yeah. We would throw the baseball harder than you throw outside. If you're bunting, or if you're going to hit and run. We did things that I didn't think we could get away with at Canton. So maybe it's because I would come as his 3 sons, and none of them played baseball. But anyway, he gave me chances to get into a baseball game with a kid.
Coach Miller, anybody just kind of come out of nowhere and surprise you?
There's probably been about 8 or 10 of them, but I do want to mention, I think he left. I don't see Mass sitting over there. John Massarelli, when he was a freshman, he was 5'2" and weighed about 100 pounds, soaking wet. Okay, by the time he was a senior, he was about 6'2" or 6'3", and became an All-Ohio player. Signed a pro contract with the Astros and played pro ball for 10 years. So you talk about starting right from the beginning. I mean, he had talent, but when you're 5'2" and weigh about 100, 110 pounds, and, that's pretty good progress right there.
All right, we have time for one more. Right there.
I don't know if they do it in high school, but what do you think about putting a runner on second base and next?
Oh, hate it. And I'm a bunter.
I'm willing to bet every coach up there hates that rule.
I'm gonna agree with
Right. Yeah, and they're not doing that anymore. They got rid of that rule, and there's no more putting a guy on second next to him, so.
Don't like it at all.
All right, what a great class. What a great
Thanks, guys.